I'm inside. Yes, I'm in a brand new location. And yes, I am that serious. And today, let's talk about the Royal Rumble. Intro. Today, we're going to do something just a little bit different. It is Royal Rumble season in wrestling. Now, you may not be aware of this unless you have watched any of my Bad Bunny reviews. Uh, I am a gigantic professional wrestling fan. I've been a fan professional wrestling longer than I can actually remember. I don't remember the first match I saw. I don't remember the first wrestler I fell in love with. I don't remember when wrestling came into my life. But it has been there since the very beginning. Um, it's my uncle introduced me to professional wrestling as a very young kid. He was obsessed with it. He loved the Briscoes. We are from Tampa, Florida. And he loved that Florida championship wrestling or that Florida wrestling. And he was really into it. We would go to all these things. We would go to the different arenas and go to these live shows. The thing about Florida is we were one of the last territory holdouts. And it wasn't really that we were a holdout, it's that our territories had a great working relationship with the WWE or WWF at the time. And so that allowed them to stay around in existence just a little bit longer than everybody else. And so we were able to go to local shows with local wrestlers. And I saw Dusty as a kid. I saw the Briscoe brothers, obviously. I mean, I seen a lot of matches. Junkyard Dog was one of my favorites as a little kid. Just the aggressiveness. I was around it so often that it kind of didn't. I don't remember the beginning. There are a few things early on that I really, really remember for my wrestling fandom. It stuck into my brain, and they're not my firsts, but they're things that I remember very, very specifically. And I think little kid in me was obsessed with Desert Storm. I was just fascinated by war. And maybe it's because I watched G.I. Joe or because I used to watch World War II documentaries with my grandpa. I'm not sure, but I was into the war. Like I was keeping up in the news, and I'm seriously like 4, 5, 6 years old. And it just became a thing that I was really into. And WWE, my favorite thing ever, intertwined with it. And so the real first like storyline I remember in professional wrestling is Sergeant Slaughter and Hulk Hogan, right? I remember good versus evil and that bastard Sergeant Slaughter. Now, I say all this just to give you a little bit of my bona fides in wrestling and how long I have been a fan. Um, it's something that's gone back long, long time. I do remember a couple of the first wrestlers that I really rooted for. Obviously, Hulk Hogan being the icon. Problems are what they are. His problematic life the rest of his time is a story for something else. When we were little kids, Hulk Hogan was the icon. But that said, I did have favorites, other guys. I loved a young Shawn Michaels when he was in the Rockers. I was obsessed with that. Jim the Anvil Neidhart, like I still grow my beard long because of Jim. Like my first facial hair was like that. I was like, yeah. True story. I loved uh, the Red Rooster, Terry Taylor, who, of course, I didn't know. I had no idea about backstories. I didn't follow dirt sheets. I didn't know rumors. I had no idea that Red Rooster gimmick was a punishment. I just thought this guy with red mohawk is cool as hell, and he was a great wrestler. I'm done talking about me for now. Let's talk about the 2024 Royal Rumble. And if you're unaware of what's been happening in the last like week or two within the news cycle about professional wrestling, it hasn't really been a great 2 weeks. I'm not going to get into it here. I will just utter a sentiment I heard earlier, and that is that we must listen to victims. We should hear them, we should understand their stories, and we should listen to them. That's all I'm going to say about that whole topic. I know there's a whole lot to get into, and I'm just not in a place right now to talk about it. That said, I think that given everything that's been happening with the Endeavor, the Rock announcement, all these big things, the rumors about who may or may not be coming back, I think the WWE has decided that since all eyes are on them, they are going to give us the biggest and best version of the Royal Rumble we may have ever gotten. They're going to try to bury the headlines. And there's a reason why, there's a reason why some of these stories came out this week. And that's because the most eyes are on the WWE with their Endeavor stuff, with the Rock stuff. Like I said, I already talked about that. The focus is high and heavy. And I think that said, they being the executives and the people in charge of the Royal Rumble, they are going to try to give us headline material all the way through both of these Royal Rumble matches. And by headline materials, I think what we're going to see is we're going to see some shocking entrances, both in the male and female ones. I think they're going to spend all the money they can. They're going to kiss all the asses they can to try to have something that really does attack the narrative and really puts the headlines on content, not on the situation. So I think that's going to be something we're going to be looking forward to. They are going to, I think, bring in some brand new names and really kind of try to shock us. And who that is, I have no idea. If you want to know that kind of information, look at Fightful Select or The Observer. Look at these places. These guys are newsbreakers. I'm not really a newsbreaker. I'm just somebody who talks about things and how I feel. And this is kind of what I feel. I feel that WWE has set themselves up both intentionally and unintentionally to really have the most eyes they can right now focused on the 2024 Royal Rumble. I do think that there is going to be a massive amount of attention. And part of that, I think, will be good. I think they will be able to capitalize and really volumize eyeballs, especially if they give us one of the best Royal Rumbles ever. This is the perfect event for the casual, right? You don't have to be a huge fan of professional wrestling to get excited every 2 minutes when somebody runs out and gets in the ring. It's exciting. And again, you don't even have to know everything about professional wrestling to be able to go, oh, that's that so-and-so back. Like, I fully expect to see John Cena tonight. We're 10 minutes away from his house. So I fully expect to see John Cena in the Royal Rumble. I do think we're going to get a big, long match from CM Punk. I think Gunther is really going to put on a big show. I think they're going to set him up as the eventual king. And not king of the ring, but like the top of the craft. I think, honestly, him having the IC title as long as he's had has kind of hindered him because they kind of had to stop the momentum of Gunther because he was skyrocketing. He's probably right now my favorite wrestler in all of WWE. So I think he's going to have a big performance. I think there's going to be a few things that WWE really is going to try to do. And the first thing I think they're going to try to do is I think Randy Orton has to be in the match for longer than a half hour. I think they want Randy Orton to be in there for longer than 30 minutes so they can tout him as being the guy with the longest time in all of the Royal Rumbles, because right now the guy with the number one record is Chris Jericho, who has not had a good PR year, and he's in AEW, which I think at this point WWE it doesn't see as an equal competition. They see as an annoying gnat. And every time they bring them up or mention them, I think it feels like they're giving them mild CPR, which at this point they kind of need. That said, I think they're tired of mentioning their biggest star. And so I think Randy Orton takes his 30 minutes in there and takes the number one spot for the longest time in the Royal Rumble. I also think that we could get a situation where we do have an Iron Man winner. I mean, there's a world in which Punk or Rhodes starts this thing and they go all the way to the end. I personally don't think either one of those guys wins. I just don't. I've said it on my socials. I've said it in circles. I've said it when I've talked to people. Cody Rhodes doesn't need to beat Roman to finish the story. So we're going to beat Roman with someone else. Someone else is going to beat Roman, and that'll be the person that Cody Rhodes takes on. Is that CM Punk? And that I'm not sure of. You know, prior to CM Punk returning to the WWE, I would have gone out on the limb and said, no. Even if he returns, they don't strap the rocket to him. But honestly, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? CM Punk comes back, always the left out, always the odd man, and he's going to knock off the biggest WWE guy of the last 20 years. I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? For me, I think one of the Usos has to be the one to actually defeat Roman. I think it's got to be Jay that takes the title. Sammy is the one I want to do it, because without Sammy, there is no bloodline story. I genuinely think that Sami Zayn is the reason that story is even still matters to this day, because he got people invested. So I'd like for it to be Sammy, but I think the answer is Jay. So does Jay win the damn Royal Rumble? I don't know. Like, could Jimmy and Jay link back together and just work together and throw everybody out? I don't know. Story's there, isn't it? Could you imagine if it's Jay, though? See, this is where WWE kind of backs themselves into corners from time to time. It's just like last year's Royal Rumble, where everybody wanted Sammy to win, but also we wanted Cody to win. So much so that they just decided, don't put Sammy in there because we don't want that pressure on him. And I think that we could get to a place like that this year. I think there's a chance that Jey Uso doesn't even enter the Royal Rumble. But I think he pulled his number last night on SmackDown. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Either way, I think we are going to be looking at a... I don't think it's going to be Cody. That's all I'm going to say. Because again, Cody doesn't need to beat Roman to finish the story. So I'm just going to go out here on a limb and make a couple quick predictions real quickly that are both in-ring and out of the ring. And my first prediction is I think this is going to be the most watched Royal Rumble in the history of WWE. I know that the 2002 Royal Rumble had 670,000 buys. We don't buy pay-per-views anymore, so those numbers are weird and awkward. But I do think that this will be the one that draws the most eyeballs. You got to remember, there's two things at play here. And the first is that a lot of people signed up for that free trial for Peacock last weekend because of the playoff game. Those people are now sitting with the free trial of Peacock. And in that free trial, WWE is right there, and the Royal Rumble is ready to go. Smart business. So I think we're going to see the most eyeballs ever on a Royal Rumble. I think that will be this one. That's prediction number one. Prediction number two is that everybody is going to hate the winner. Everybody's going to be mad. The internet is going to hate it. It's intentional. They are trying to draw headlines. They want to make the most noise possible. So we're all going to be upset about who wins. And God, I'm kind of excited about that, because that means we're going to get something interesting. Another prediction is I do think we are going to see the longest concurrent time in all of Royal Rumbles be accomplished today with Randy Orton. Even though I think he's in a match. He's got his own match, so maybe they won't do it. Maybe I'm just been talking out of my ass the whole time. But I do think there's a possibility that if Randy Orton is in the Royal Rumble, he will be getting that 30-plus minutes to take down Jericho. And my final prediction, of the entire thing is that St. Petersburg is going to be the best crowd the Royal Rumble has ever had. I will say this, unofficially, Tampa Bay, St. Pete area is the home of professional wrestling. More professional wrestlers live here, work here, play here. They are here. This is the home. And that's why Florida has had 7 Royal Rumbles, making us the most Royal Rumbled state out of all of them. Texas number 2 is 6, which is pretty interesting. That said, think we're in for a big night. I think it's going to be a great time. I can't wait. I am excited. 2024 Royal Rumble is going to go down as a big, big time event. I'm excited. Let's go. Anyways, let me know what y'all think down below. Yes, I'm inside. Yes, I'm still working on the lighting. And yes, I am that serious. I'm out.